Hello, my brothers and sisters. How are you? Have you been feeling kind of this crazy energy that's been happening? I'm specifically talking about the period between April the 20th all the way till today, April the 24th. Now, it feels in my world like things have been happening, like the time has just gone super quick. But at the same time, there has been this period. I experienced it yesterday, last night specifically, during what was really the full moon. It just felt like time was going slow, and it was this beautiful window of rapid downloads, perfect insights coming through, coincidences, information, pieces clicking in, confirmations. And that was yesterday, but it was also a really interesting ride since Saturday. So I just got off a call, a Facebook Live inside the Elev8te community. And I asked the girls in there a bunch of questions, and I want to ask the same thing of you. And one of the things I asked was, what did you notice? What's been going on with you since Saturday? The 20th and 21st was a really important day. But before I get into this, do write what you've been noticing in the comments, because I'd love to compare them with what's been taking place in the Elev8te group, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of common ground, and I think you'll notice too. And when you comment, I'll write back, you know that, and we'll see what kind of interesting coincidences that we're noticing, or themes that we're noticing about this time period. So if you're not totally familiar, let me just walk you through why I started with the 20th. So on the 20th and 21st, depending on where you are, there was something called the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Now, I'm not going to ever call myself an astrologist, but I follow astrology, and I really do pay attention to a lot of the cosmic alignments that take place, because they influence us, right? There are celestial bodies, and these are physical bodies and the flesh bodies. And we are all connected, as we know. So they influence how we experience life here. And that's just part of what's been going on. So on the 20th of April, which was Saturday, 20th and 21st, depending where you are, something called the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction. And what that was doing was it was really the launch pad of what was started or sort of prefaced at the eclipse. And the eclipse was really foreshadowing this new era that we're moving into, letting go of ways of past. We are done with that, and expanding the mind and expanding human consciousness, and ultimately up leveling the human experience as a whole. And so Saturday, Sunday, this conjunction really marked that start point. Okay. And so wherever you were, you might have been feeling this, but we were literally now being catapulted into this experience of higher consciousness, not just individually, but collectively. But of course, it starts from within on an individual level. So that was Saturday. And so what was happening at that time energetically, you may have been feeling a little bit more freedom, or you may have been feeling also this deep activation or an invitation to really release more and to let go of more of that old programming. So that began Saturday, was moving into Sunday, and then we moved into Monday, which was the 22nd. Now, Monday was a really interesting day, because Monday was the last 4-4 Stargate of April. What does that mean? April is a 4-month, right? It's the 4th month of the year. And this is just dipping into numerology a little bit. Again, I'm not a numerologist, but I'm very attuned to numbers and the energetics of them and the coding that comes with a lot of these numbers. And 4 is a powerful number all on its own. 4 represents structure. It represents foundational elements of creation. We have 4 seasons. There's 4 quarters in a year. There's just so many things around 4. 12 is divisible by 4. 12 is also a very significant number with time and with months and etc. Okay, so but the number 4 represents stability. It represents structure. It represents foundation. It represents security and stability. So one of the reasons why this is so significant is that in April, have you noticed that what's been going on in the world around you, and probably in your own world, in your home, in your own intimate life, that Foundations are being rocked. The structure that you used to follow is maybe becoming less solid. That security and stability has been in question. That's the 4. That's the 4-month, which is April. And then when you have multiple 4s on a day, it amplifies these things. And so Monday, April the 22nd was what you'd call a Stargate. And it's because there was all these 2s adding up into 4s. April being a 4 for the month. And then the 22nd is 2 and 2, which is 4. And then 2024, 202 is another 2s, which is 4. And then 4, right? So it's just 4, 4, 4, 4. So it's powerful, powerful. So that just amplified anything that was structurally within your body needed to be looked at or was being illuminated. Structure and foundations and stability around health, around your mental frameworks, around financial, around career, around family, relationships, everything. Or maybe just a few things. It depends on you. So that's where the individual part plays in, right? So take yourself back to Monday. What was coming up for you? Maybe what's still coming up for you now. So that was Monday. It was a 4-4 Stargate. So just talking about all the 4s. But what else was also happening is that it was also what's called a palindrome. Now, these don't happen all that often, but you will notice. And what's a palindrome? A palindrome is a series, it's a number sequence where the numbers read the same forwards and backwards. So what I mean is this, and you can see this. Can you see that? So it's 422, which is April 22nd, 2024, 224. You always skip the zeros. So get in here so I can, I'm always so washed out, but either way, you get it. Let's see if I can. Okay. So why is that significant? Okay, so all of these things were layering on top of each other. So Monday was a huge day, huge day. And it may not have meant that you were going to feel a lot, but just know that what was taking place underneath or behind the scenes has been massive. All of these 4s, and then the fact that it was a palindrome acts kind of like a reflector, right? Because if you look at the dates, it's the 4 at the front for April, the 4 at the end for 2024, and just 2s all in between. And 2s is like harmony, it's unity in many ways. It's about relationships, it's about building and putting things together, right? It's about also polarity. So it's just like structure, polarity, bring it together. It's just unbelievable. So they're all happening at the same time, but it's bringing this up and it's showing what's happening within. It's reflecting what's happening outside. It's a period where you might start to do inner reflection, and then also looking outside and saying, I don't want this anymore. Familiar theme. Of course, it was coming in from the eclipse as well. And then we're not done. We're not done. What that also was bringing is a bit of a sense of harmony, right? Because a palindrome, because it's the same as the left and on the left as it is on the right in terms of the number sequence and how it reads, it also provides a feeling of harmony, of balance, of symmetry, and that just feels more stable. It feels more at ease. It's not, scattered and chaotic. No, it's a rhythm. It's beautiful. So that was also taking place on Monday. You may have noticed a lot of downloads coming through on that day, a lot of synchronicity, a lot of ease. What did you notice? Please let me know in the comments. I'm so curious, really curious, because what came through in the Elev8te community chat, we're having a regular every Wednesday. It is a conscious community coffee break, is what we're calling it. And it's a whole lot of fun. So if you want to do this live interaction, please join us in there. There's a lot of exciting stuff about to take place with that community. So if you want to get in on the ground level and play with us, there's no cost in there. Please do join us. A lot of stuff is going to be changing, but it's going to be super, super cool. but we've been talking about this and sharing, and I'd love to hear what you have to say as well. You may also start to feel like this feeling of fire building within you and this like clarity, right? Because the fours give us the structure. They stir things up at the foundation level when things are needing to be changed up. Because how do you create a brand new future if that you don't want to relive the past, if the foundation isn't solid to support the new future you're creating? How do you do it? You can't create it on the same foundation. So what do? Well, you take a bunch of fours and you bring that into your experience, or you step into the four experience, right? And essentially you must excavate. If we're talking like the analogy of construction, if you have a really crappy foundation with cracks and leaks and you plan to build a brand new house on it, and so you buy a property with an old house, the top, you know, you want to do some work on, you want a brand new house to live in, but you're going to tear down the house. Are you going to leave the foundation? If it's solid and it's going to support the new direction, the new house you're going to build, why not? But if it's not, you have to take it down, especially if it's got cracks in it, especially if it's not the same footprint of what you want to create as this new structure for yourself. The whole thing must go. And so that's what's happening now. It's like all of our foundations are being rocked. They're being questioned. They're being under the microscope. We're looking at everything. Why? Because you need to. You don't want to rebuild the same thing that you've said you don't want to live through again, do you? No, of course not. So be willing to just like let go of it all. Excavate that whole foundation down to the bare earth. Really. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. We're coming back into connection with Gaia. So it makes perfect sense that we are excavating our foundations, making way to pour new, solid, completely higher vibe foundation to create these beautiful new lives on moving forward. So that's what's been happening this week. Really amplified though on Monday, really amplified. And then Tuesday was the 23rd. But what was happening more on on Monday, even more before the 23rd, which was the full moon yesterday, we were also having a very rare solar event, which was, guess what? You know, when solar flares come and they blast from the sun, it's sending very high frequency fluid plasma light to the earth. And it contains codes that are upgrading our biology, our consciousness, our frequency, our blueprint, all of it. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's two. Yesterday, guess how many there were? 4. Not yesterday, I'm sorry. On the 22nd, 2, which is a 4-day, there were 4 massive solar flares that took place all at the same time. And if you could see the image, I don't have it here to show you, but it was literally in the shape of a triangle. Can't make it a triangle with a large one in the center. Like, talk about Trinity, unity. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's ridiculous. But of course, you may or may not have felt it. I personally felt it intensely. It took place at, what time was it? 11:15 p.m. Eastern. It was, you can't make this up. I was sitting on the couch. My partner was working on the chair next to me, like in the same room. And I remember saying to him, like, oh God, like, it felt to me, like I honestly felt like my entire chakra system, my light body, my cells, everything was coming into alignment. It reminded me so much of my own kundalini awakening experience that happened around 8-9 years ago. And it was blissful in the physical body. It's so blissful. I'll never forget it. And my life completely changed, completely different trajectory, just like that. This felt so similar. It was a slightly milder experience. That was in a plant medicine journey. This was like on the couch on a Monday night. And we were staying up really late, which we intended to go to bed early, but the energy. My partner was receiving the energy as just being in workflow, just like being really good. He was doing what he was doing and just felt in flow and didn't want to stop. He was having his own great time. And for me, I was sitting on the couch. I was first doing a little bit of correspondence. And then I was doing something ridiculous, like watching shorts, like funny shorts of animals. It's my thing. And I haven't done that in months. And so it felt so indulgent, as ridiculous as that sounds. I was just sitting there watching these animal shorts and the odd ridiculous person doing something funny and just giggling and laughing. And then I'm starting to have this experience like I'm having another kundalini awakening, literally. Um, and my entire system, I said, I feel incredible. Like it's just complete bliss. So I just basically, I was curled up on the couch on my blanket and I'm just watching these silly videos and I'm just melting into the moment, like melting into my physical body and loving it. And it went on for, I guess, maybe about an hour. And as I talk about it now, I'm like, I feel like I'm tapping into it. It's just so beautiful. But that happened to be, now that I know the time and I look back on Monday, it was exactly during that moment. It's that window when those coronas were just fully erupting. And it was like, what it is when this happens, they call it is described as simultaneous quadruple blast around 11:15 Eastern on April 22nd. And that's when 4 solar flares explode at the same time. Now it's kind of like interesting, like dynamite, because they all are connected under what looks like the surface of the sun, and they just all explode at the same time. Um, but if you also know that the sun, Sol, Solaris, is a living being, it's it is intentionally supporting us and was supporting us on that day to give us this amplified high frequency, next level of our ascension and embodiment game of coding that's necessary for us to move forward and create these new lives that we came here to do now. So there's just no mistake. And so the timing was ridiculous. And it's the kind of thing that, I think astrologers and numerologists, they will look at these things ahead of time and be forecasting and talking about them, where the rest of us are really often just looking back and in hindsight, looking back and going, oh my God, of course, and discovering these things, or just very, very briefly before things happen or in the moment. That's what happens a lot for me, is I will be in the moment having an experience or leading up to something. I'm like, something is happening. And then I'll tune in and either get the receive the information that way, and I'll receive, like, go and check Schumann and I'll see something on the Schumann resonance chart that's just exploding. And that's the other piece. So besides all of the fours, the 4-4 Stargate, besides the palindrome that was taking place, besides the solar flares, the quadruple happening on that day, there was also peaks, huge spikes in Schumann resonance, which is the Earth's harmonic field. It's really the energetic resonance of the Earth's ionosphere. So it's the field above the Earth, so to speak. And we were getting blasted that way too. So it didn't matter where you were or what part of this experience you were planted on, whether you're on the earth, you're in the cosmos, everything was taking place all at the same time. It was magnificent. And just know, whether you noticed anything or not, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just know that there was pure, divine intentionality taking place at that time. And you're going to be reaping the rewards and the benefits of it moving forward. So that took us into yesterday. Yesterday was, as you know, the pink full moon. Incredible energy. I don't know if you guys were out at night, but we were visiting family, celebrating a birthday in the city, which felt so fun and so fresh. And then we came home and the moon came out just as we pulled in. And I took the dog for a walk, which you may be able to hear him. He's actually sitting over here. He's sleeping, hence the messed up blankets you see there. And it was magnificent. That was on the 23rd. And now today we're on the 24th. And today is the last day actually that Mercury is in retrograde. And when it's in retrograde, it's not an excuse to go on and, oh, everything's upside down because it's Mercury retrograde. No, Mercury is, the retrogrades now are really about upgrading our experience. But it does bring a lot of heaviness sometimes because it's pulling things up that need to be looked at, that need to be purged, that we need to shift through. So that ends tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first day that Mercury goes direct. So it's really going to, it's a faster paced time. When planets go direct, they move more quickly. And so there's going to be, and Mercury represents the mind, right? And so, especially when Mercury is going into a retrograde period, it's a lot about, reflecting, looking back at the mind. Like it's a very internal mental experience. How many of you have been having that experience of like reflecting on in your mind about your life, about what you're doing, about who you have been being, about what you want moving forward, about what you don't want anymore, of what you have been living? Let me know in the chat if you've been feeling that. Well, today's the last day of that cycle. And now we'll be moving into this new phase starting tomorrow with Mercury going direct. And it's going to be really amplifying and catapulting us forward. So I wanted to just come on and share this because as I started to connect all of these dots, I was just, and also having my physical experience and moving through all of it relatively quickly, just because there was so much going on with work and then with family and life. I finally had a moment to breathe yesterday and I was like, okay, let me just put all this together. And then I wanted to share it today. And I was really prompted when I did the Facebook Live in our community, which, as I said, if you want to join us in there, we have a lot of fun, especially when we're doing our weekly coffee chats on Wednesday at 3:30. And there's going to be some big, exciting changes that take place. And I'd love for you guys to be part of it. If this kind of conversation resonates with you, and please know, I'm not always talking about just cosmic stuff. The real reason I talk about that is because of what it brings up in us. What is ready to shift? What are you ready to let go of? And let's process it. Let's create from the inside what we want to see on the outside. So if that kind of stuff resonates with you, and if you are ready, I'm emphasizing this, ready to make a change, ready to create the human experience that you want to have, join us inside Elev8te. The link will be below. It is an amazing space that is completely dedicated to up-leveling your human experience, to reaching your full human potential in so many ways. It's not about staying the way you have been. And it's not a container for sitting and strictly complaining. We can let it all out in there, but the purpose of letting it out is so that we have a place to then begin to create anew. So if you're ready for that and you want a different kind of container, please join us inside of Elev8te. It's going to be an incredible year, especially now as we move through all of this that we just have, that I was sharing and talking about today. And I'd like to hear what this last several days has been like for you. So please let me know. Thank you for being with me. I do hope to see you inside the Elev8te community, and I will watch for you. All right. Any troubles, let me know. And feel free, if you know somebody that you think would be a good fit for this, share it with them. Please do. And I look forward to connecting with you soon, here again, but also inside Elev8te. Lots of love to you. Bye for now.